The great divide of choice, when truth rises and illusion falls. In the not-so-distant future, a line will be drawn not by force, not by decree, but by realization. A moment will arrive where the narratives people once clung to without question begin to fracture under the weight of truth. And in that moment, many who spent years dismissing, mocking, and ridiculing what they could not yet see will be confronted with something far more uncomfortable than being wrong. They will be confronted with a realization that they choose not to look. This is not a story about intelligence versus ignorance. It is a story about choice. The choice between comfort and curiosity, between conformity and courage. For over a decade, those labeled as conspiracy theorists were not merely criticized. They were systematically discredited, marginalized, and dismissed as unstable or detached from reality. The label itself became a weapon, a way to shut down inquiry before it could even begin. But behind that label was something far more dangerous to controlled narratives: independent thought. The willingness to ask questions that had no easy answers, the refusal to accept official explanations at face value, the discipline to research, connect dots, and explore uncomfortable possibilities. These individuals were not driven by a need to be right. They were driven by a need to know and understand. Meanwhile, the majority followed a different path, not because they lacked the ability to question, but because questioning comes at a cost. It disrupts social alignment. It invites ridicule. It forces a person to confront uncertainty, and uncertainty is something most people are conditioned to avoid. So they chose the path that felt safe, the path reinforced by institutions, media, and collective agreement. They trusted what was presented to them because it required less resistance, less friction, and less personal responsibility. In many ways, it was the easier road, and for a time, it worked. But truth has a way of surfacing, regardless of how deeply it is buried. It does not operate on approval or consensus. It does not require belief to exist. It simply is. And when it emerges, it does not ask permission, it reveals. That is the moment we are moving toward, a convergence point where suppressed realities, overlooked facts, and dismissed perspectives begin to align in a way that can no longer be ignored, not as a sudden explosion, but as a steady unveiling that forces reevaluation. What many fail to understand is that the battle was never simply about facts. It was about perception, conditioning, and the architecture of belief itself. People were not just defending ideas, they were defending identities built upon those ideas. To question the narrative meant risking social exile, professional consequences, and internal destabilization. So instead of confronting the possibility that something deeper was unfolding, many choose to protect the framework that gave them a sense of certainty. But certainty built on unexamined foundations is fragile, and when pressure is applied, it does not bend, it breaks. That breaking point is not a punishment, it is an invitation to rebuild on something real. There's also a hard truth that must be faced. Information has never been more accessible, yet discernment has never been more rare. The difference was never about access, it was about intention. Some consumed information passively, allowing headlines, sound bites, and repetition to shape their worldview. Others engaged actively, cross-referencing, questioning sources, and recognizing patterns beneath the surface. That difference in approach created a widening gap, not of intelligence, but of awareness. And as that gap becomes more visible, it will force a collective reckoning with how truth is recognized, processed, and ultimately accepted. And when that reckoning arrives in full, it will demand something far greater than acknowledgement. It will demand accountability. Not in the sense of blame, but in the sense of ownership. Ownership of what was believed, what was ignored, and what was defended without examination. Because growth does not come from being right. It comes from being willing to confront where we were wrong and why. That is where transformation happens. That is where clarity replaces confusion, and where strength replaces dependency. And for those willing to step into that space, the future will not be something to fear. It will be something they are finally prepared to understand. When that shift happens, the reaction will not be uniform. Some will resist it, doubling down on old beliefs because letting go would require admitting they were misled or mistaken. Others will feel anger, not at those who questioned early, but at themselves for not doing so sooner. And some will experience a profound awakening, recognizing that the answers they once rejected were never out of reach. They were simply outside the boundaries they were willing to explore. Those who were ahead of the curve will not stand vindicated in arrogance, but in quiet confirmation, because the journey was never about proving others wrong. It was about seeking alignment with truth wherever it led. The deeper realization is this: awareness is not a competition, it is a responsibility. And those who choose to dig, to question, and to go within were not granted special knowledge. They exercised a choice that was always available to everyone. At the core of all this lies a fundamental principle. Truth and light are not separate forces. They are one and the same. Truth illuminates. It reveals what is hidden, exposes what is distorted, and clarifies what is misunderstood. But just as light exists, so does shadow. And shadow is not simply darkness, it is the absence of awareness. Some remain there not because they are trapped, but because they are unwilling to step into the light. The shadow offers familiarity even when it conceals reality. There is a reason why some stay there. Growth requires friction. Awareness requires effort. And truth, in its raw form, demands the dismantling of long-held beliefs. Not everyone is ready for that. Not everyone chooses that. And that choice must be understood, not condemned. Because ultimately this is not about division between those who knew and those who didn't. It is about the unfolding of awareness at different stages, at different times. The future will not belong to those who were right the earliest, but those who are willing to adapt when truth becomes undeniable. The real shift is not external, it is internal. It is the movement from passive acceptance to active discernment, from dependency on external authority to alignment with inner clarity. That is where the real power lies. Because in the end, truth does not shout, it stands. And when everything else falls away, it is the only thing left with the strength to remain. It does not bend to pressure, it does not break under scrutiny, and it does not disappear when ignored. It endures, unshaken and absolute. Every illusion, every false narrative, and every constructed belief will eventually collapse under its weight, no matter how long it takes. And when that moment comes, what remains will not be what was most defended, but what was always real. QX.